Hi, I'm Roberta Calacino, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York. I'm coming to you this afternoon with what I hope will be a short tutorial showing you how I made the card and the home decor project that I showed on a previous video where I was mainly focusing on the use of the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. There are some techniques that are involved with using the stamp set that I thought people might find helpful. So I will get right to it. I've got kind of a hot mess on my desk, so just excuse that. We'll get right to it and I'll show you how I made that. Okay, I'm going to turn the camera down. Trying not to make anybody seasick. There we go. And I will refresh my computer so that I can see what you are seeing besides the mess on my desk. Okay. So this is the Welcoming Window stamp set. It was first introduced in the January-June mini catalog, which is still in effect until the 30th of June, I believe. So you can still order this as a bundle if you like. It comes with a wonderful set of dies. I've actually got most of them out here on my table. All right. And what I made a little while ago was this card, which uses both the stamps and the dies and gives you a nice three-dimensional effect. But then before I went on the air and showed how this was made, I made this, which would be a nice thing to just put on your desk at work maybe, or on an end table at your house. You could probably make a slightly larger version of it. And I just thought that was really pretty. The black frame was just something I had kicking around. I would definitely prefer for it to be white, or maybe white and distressed, or white with some color in it. I haven't quite decided yet, but the black just sort of takes away from the really beautiful scene. So because these, not so much the dies, I actually went into the dies in the previous video, but because these stamps can be a tad tricky, I thought I would just show you how I created that. Give you a few tips. You can learn from my mistakes. So I'll set this out of the way for now, and I'll show you how this brick stamp works. And I think it's very difficult to do this kind of stamping where you have to sort of line things up when you can't have what you're stamping close to you to see what you're doing. So I'm going to kind of keep adjusting things so that I'm bringing it closer to me, but also bringing the camera closer as well so that you can see and so can I. So I actually started on this side and made a mistake, so I'm just flipping it over because I won't need to do the whole thing to show you how to do this. So this is what creates that entire background. It's not a background stamp, it's just this one little stamp with 6 bricks in it. And it has a little notch on the left-hand side, and that notch is what this sort of fits into that when you do the second stamp, and that's hard to explain, but you'll see it in just a second. So I'm going to ink it up. I'm using gray granite ink, and I'm going to start. I don't want that notch to show, so I'm going to stamp off a little bit. Okay, and that's what I've got. So this is kind of a distinctive stamp. It looks like maybe my stamp wasn't inked up properly, but it is. Now I'm going to stamp off once to make it lighter and try to line it up so that that brick is heading towards that little notch there. And also at the same time trying to go in a straight line. So now I've got a darker image and a lighter image. I'm going to stamp it up again, and this time do it, or ink it up again, do it without stamping off. And then I'll do it one more time and stamp off and then come down. And I'm going to keep doing that, but each time I'm going to do it slightly differently. So this time I may start off with stamping off and a lighter image, and I may go further off the card so that it's not the same bricks and the same pattern showing in every single column, and it would end up looking like columns. You want it to look a little bit more random than that, because that's how brick is. It's not perfect. The colors aren't perfect. There are, defects in the brick sometimes, or little notches, depending if it's old brick or new brick. And of course you could use more of a brick color. The terracotta tile that just retired would be a great color for the brick, but you could probably use, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe, oh, Cajun Craze might be good. And then of course there's white brick too, so you could do this on a black background or something with the white brick, I don't know. Just kind of let your imagination be your guide, I guess. So sometimes I'll stamp off, sometimes I won't, sometimes it'll be because I forgot, sometimes it won't, but I think you get the idea. And if it starts to look like you're going crooked, it really is okay to fix it. Just pretend it's an old house in Gettysburg someplace that's sinking slowly. All right, so you get the gist of that, so I don't think I have to show you all of that. And then you just continue going in that pattern. And here's one that I made where I didn't stamp off, and I think I like the stamped off one better, but you might have a different opinion, and that's great. All right, so the next stamp that I want to show you, or stamps, are these flower stamps with the greenery. So this might be a surprise to you, but this is not one stamp. This is two-step stamping. So first you stamp the greenery and then the flowers. And I almost think I saw one demonstrator do it the other way around. That just didn't work for me, and that's just because my mind doesn't always work like everybody else's. I used Pear Pizzazz and Garden Green. And I am going to put my card there as a guide because I tried this a few minutes ago and ended up shutting off the camera because it wasn't going so well. And then I need another piece of scrap paper. Okay, I've got one right here. That'll work. So I'm going to take this image, and it's hard to see, but if you look carefully, you can see that there are some gaps or some holes in there. And when I stamp it, they'll become really obvious. And those gaps or holes is where the flower goes. Okay, so while you may see 1, 2, 3, 4 gaps there and think that that's all there is, in fact there are more, but they're either at the top or at the bottom. So it's not just these almost circular holes. So now we have 2 stamp sets to choose from, and we have to make sure that we really get the right one. And we're going to choose this one, which appears to have way more holes or way more flowers than there were holes, but actually that's not the case. So I'm going to put the green away before I stick my arm in it, and this time I am going to get out the polished pink, which is one of our new in colors. It really is a beautiful color, very vibrant, but still pretty. All right, so we're going to stamp that up. And now I have to really look here. I'm going to bring that up a little bit more so that you can see it, or maybe I got a little bit of ink in the corner there. I'm going to wipe that off because I want to make sure I don't make a mess. I'm going to bring the camera in a tiny bit more so that I can bring this closer to me because this part is a little tricky. So now we kind of need to do a little bit of turning and wiggling. One of the flowers, this one, is actually going to go here in this spot, and that helps me to know that. And then you still have to turn a little bit. Oh, and I'm hearing myself repeating. All right. So I keep looking. The nice thing about the photopolymer stamps is that you can see through them. I'm going to try to do the best that I can and not get terribly hung up. So that's not perfect, but I'm going to leave it. It's okay. It's not a big problem, but everything should have been up just a touch. Not a whole lot, but just a touch, okay? Not a disaster. Okay, let's see if I can shut the other me up there. There we go. Okay. I don't know if you could hear it or not, but I could. So the next one that I'm going to use is the Pear Pizzazz. And for my flowers, I'm going to use So Saffron. So now I'm taking this other set of greenery, which is the one that really kind of drapes down over the pot. If I had a camera with the ability to zoom in and keep my hands out of the way, I would zoom in because you would actually probably get a better view than what I'm getting. All right, so now even though this is the bigger spray of flowers or spray of greenery, we're using the smaller array of flowers to do that stamping. That's what confused me to begin with. All right. So again, we're going to ink this up with the So Saffron, and then I'm going to start looking at it. So I have determined that this one flower here that almost looks a little triangular is the one that goes right here. And that helps me to line this up. So again, ideally, you really want to have your head practically over this. And if I move my head much further forward, I'm going to hit the camera, so I won't do that. And then I'll turn it a little bit until it seems right. And now I stamp. And that one is very close to perfect. Better than that one, but I can live with that one. So that's how you do that. And then, of course, you run them through the die cut machine, which I showed in the video that I made earlier today at about 4 o'clock. And you can see that there. So those are the main techniques for doing that. And then I guess the other thing that I would want to show you that's also different from just showing you die cutting is I'll show you some of the other ones that I cut out earlier. All right, like in the home decor one, I actually changed it up. In the card, I used a flower pot here, and in the home decor one, I used a picture here, done in mint macaron, and then the other window, because there are 2 window options, I used the other window with balmy blue and put these down in a little bit of a different position. All right, so if you've got this, you've got your picture, let's say, and then you grab one of the sprays of flowers and you want to put it in the pitcher. I think maybe I want no, I don't think I want the smaller one. I think I do want the bigger one. All right, you just kind of want to position it so that, first of all, maybe you can see a little bit of the handle there so that you can see that it is in fact a pitcher. I can take my glue, which I have misplaced already. Wow, I never misplace my glue. Oh, there it is. I actually put it back where it belonged. Who would ever think to look there? And I just put a tiny bit of glue at the very top of the pitcher. This glue is pretty strong, so I'm not too worried about it, but I'll show you what I can do. All right, and then I'm going to turn it over. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do, though. I wanted to put it on the other side. So I'm going to wipe it off on there. All right. Hold on, please. All right, yep, I need it on this side because I don't want those flowers going behind the picture. I want them hanging over in front of the picture. Okay, so I'm just going to position it in a way that I can't see the top of the picture anymore, but I'm going to turn it because I really want you to see some of the handle because I want you to know that it's a picture. I don't know why I want you to know that, but I don't want it to just look like a vase. I'm going to reach over here and take a tiny piece of just regular Scotch tape. And just because I want to be sure, I'm going to put that on the back. Okay, you won't be able to see it, but I'll know it's there and it'll help. And then I put dimensionals on the back of that and place that on either the card or the framed picture. All right, and the same would be true with the flowers and the flower pot. I'd put a little bit of glue there and just arrange that. I'd want it high enough up that I could still see that this has a ledge or whatever you want to call it, the rim on the flower pot. I don't know why, but I'd want to see that. And then I would attach that. And those are really the only hints that I have for this. And other than that, you can use any colors that you want, any combinations. Like I said, you have 2 choices of windows. You have this window, which is die cut. No, it's upside down. There we go. Which is both die cut and embossed with the same die. So it cut out the outline, it cut out the windows. And then you've got this one, which you stamp and just use this sort of rectangular die, but it's sort of a rough cut to cut that window out. There is a die that does not have a matching stamp, and that's this one, which cuts out the little window box where I put my plant. But there is also a stamp, which I did not, oh yes, I did use it at one point. This stamp, which is just sort of a row, and I actually used that stamp. Oh, but you know what? You can't even see it in the frame. I used this stamp on the bottom here just so that those pots didn't look like they were floating in space, and it sort of made them look like they were either sitting on a concrete patio or maybe even on some type of a table. So you have so many options with this that it's really quite nice. It comes with, the other dies that it comes with are these two, which match up with the shutter stamp, which stamps these two shutters. And these would be your decorative type shutters that just sit on the side of your window but don't actually do anything. But among the dies, there is also a set of dies that cuts a shutter like this that could actually be closed over the window. However, once you stamp this, there's a slight space there. You can cut those apart and you could flip those open so that they looked like wooden shutters that would shut if there was going to be a storm, let's say. And these little tiny dies, actually, you could use metal or you could use black, like a metallic paper or black paper, and those are the little hinges that hold the shutters on. I'm extremely detailed, ridiculously detailed. It's just amazing. And right in the catalog, and I always tell people I wish they still called it an idea book. In the January-June mini, they had more pictures of it because that's, oops, there it is, that's when it was introduced. And right in the catalog, people are always looking at the stamp sets, but sometimes they forget to look that they give us ideas in there as well. So here is a card made using those shutters that I was talking about. So you can see the little hinges, and you can see that they're put on right. Some people put them on backwards because they thought that the longer piece should be here, but then if you tried to picture in your mind shutting the shutters, you would realize that they weren't in the right space or in the right direction. So if you use them, make sure that they sort of angle up and down, and that you'll know that they're correct. This one is just a card that shows, I think they actually used the shutter and some DSP or something, and then just showed flower pots. But there's so much that can be done with it. And so you'll see those examples on the page of the catalog where the stamp set is shown, but then because it is also what they call a stamp and die bundle, wherever they show that bundle, they will also, and where did it go? Wherever they show that bundle, hang on, one more page, they will have another sample. Oh, here it is. It's kind of hard to spot, sorry, because it's in like purple, maybe Highland Heather. So the card base is purple and the bricks are purple, which is a little unusual, and it's not meant to look like a window at all. They didn't use the window, not a bit. So that's another example of how to use that. And of course there's Pinterest. You know, you can always go to Pinterest. And in the new catalog, because it did carry over, and they are carrying it over as a bundle, so I might have misspoken earlier, they show yet two more samples. This one's kind of hard to see because it's in the crease, but this one shows the green and green shutters with white hinges, and this one has the window in white and the shelf in white. And instead of doing an entire background, it looks like they just did a little, just sort of for effect. And then this Mother's Day card just shows the window and nothing else. So there are just so many different ways that you can use this. So I wanted to share that with you so that if you get this set, you'll know what to do with it. And thank you very much for hanging out with me for a little while longer. And you have a great day.